Athletor Podcast. We are joined today by the unsurmountable Jared Frayer. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. First things first, how are things out in Hokieville?
Everything's great, man. It's great. The guys are slowly trickling back on campus. Weather's beautiful. Move-in is a little nuts. You know, our small town of 30,000 just went to 60,000 real quick. And but yeah, man, it's a great time in Blacksburg, Virginia. You know, football is coming up. College football is a big part of this university, and yeah, man, it's a good time. Good time to go out recruiting. It's you know, we just kind of got off a little vacation time, and yeah, man, fired up to be back.
You said the town doubles in size as soon as classes come back in, and then it doubles again on game day. Like, what's that about? Like that, if for somebody like me that grew up on the East Coast in a fairly congested area, I don't understand what that means. What does it mean for a town like Blacksburg to double twice a year?
Yeah, man, it's so it doubles it doubles to 30, you know, from 35 or whatever to 70, and then game day throw another 70 on top of that. So it actually, doubles, triples, quads, whatever it does.
Yeah.
It's a pretty special and unique community, and Hokie Nation loves its college athletics, and you know, the culture and the reverberations of big time college athletics, and seeing all of our teams really as a whole, the whole program, you know, really be super successful. It just makes the excitement of our rabid fans already even more rabid. So great times in Blacksburg. You know, we just had our women's basketball went to the Final Four, both our men's and women's, or softball and baseball in the College World Series. Wrestling is, you know, we like to say we're crushing it. And yeah, man, football's on the verge of being great again. So yeah, exciting times. Blacksburg, like I said, great place. It's stuck right in the middle of the, you know, coming to the Appalachian Trail, Appalachian Mountains. Great fishing, great outdoor stuff. But you know, when the rubber meets the road in the confines of Castle Coliseum, you know, on the wrestling mats and practice mats and turfs and everything athletic related around here is top notch.
So it's something to me that's really interesting, and it's very obvious from an outsider's point of view that athletics is extremely important at Virginia Tech. It's very obvious from all the way across the country. That comes with positive and not. I don't want to say negative, but it comes with, like, there's an expectation, right? Like, so the importance is placed on athletics, and now there's an expectation. Is that something that you felt as you walked in there, or is that something that you kind of had to poke around to feel?
No doubt. You know, I didn't know a whole lot about Virginia Tech when I took the job, and it's crazy. We're going on our 7th year together. Roby, myself, and, you know, the family being here in Blacksburg. Didn't know a whole lot about it. Obviously knew that Coach Dresser had built this thing up pretty quickly with Roby, you know, as his right-hand man. And just, you know, they were 4th, you know, 2 years before, which is, you know, it's awesome. And that's what we're striving to get back to. I mean, we've been top 10 8 of the last 10 years, but you know, getting those team trophies is kind of the next step where that's the, you know, the vision is to be a team trophy team every year. And, you know, hopefully get lucky one year, and man, we're that close to being, you know, on the top. So, yeah, you know, that's what I was looking for, someone that had the same kind of vision as me. I was out of college wrestling for 3 years, and, you know, really didn't see myself getting back into it until he kind of cold called me, and bam, man, it just fit. It just felt right. And, you know, we had the same vision in mind for the program. Like I said, we've been together. This is by far the longest stint I've been in a program. I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon. So I think the continuity of the staff, of him and I, now Coach Brewer and Coach Hott, we've all been together for, you know, as a whole for about 5 years now. And it's just been it's been awesome, man. And I strive for excellence, and we all do as a staff. And yeah, man, you put yourself in the talks with all these teams. You know, we're one of 4 schools to have 3+ All-Americans 10 years in a row, and that's us, Penn State, Iowa, and Cornell. And that's something we take very, very seriously. And when we're out there recruiting and selling what we're trying to do here, it's all about development. And you know, we might not be getting the blue chippers, but we're going to develop them into you know, looking to be on the stand as freshmen. So 2 freshman All-Americans this year. So fired up for the future, and just want to take the next step with these young studs that we got in the stable.
How big of an impact does being part of a school that has such a, you know, successful other sports, football, basketball, the big name sports that everybody knows about, how big of an impact does that have on your guys' recruiting?
Well, I think it's finding the right kids, right? For me, I remember going through the recruiting process, and that's just, you know, I grew up in big time college football atmosphere, big time college athletics. You know, some people fit the Ivy League and the, you know, the Lehighs and the, you know, where wrestling is big time college wrestling. But, you know, you don't have the, you know, 75,000 people coming to the football stadium on any given Sunday or Saturday. So you get the right ones. You know, there's some that the culture of a you know and like I said, an Ivy League or a place like Lehigh where wrestling is king. It's just finding that right fit, and I think we've kind of found our I guess our footprint for what we're looking for, and you know, that's the type of kids we're looking for, and you don't know that until you get them on campus, right? You know, some kids see themselves in an urban school or a, you know, rural, suburban, but big time college athletics is what Virginia Tech is about, and you know, finding the right fit that, you know, you're going to have an amazing college experience if you decide to make Blacksburg your home.
Do you like as a coach, as a guy, what do you take more pride in, recruiting or developing?
Oh, I want to say and hope that that's kind of where, you know, my 2 minds meet, because, man, there's nothing I love better than spending hours upon hours just, you know, geeking out about wrestling and figuring out how we're going to win this situation. How can I finish a high crotch on the, you know, unfinishable, you know, the guys like the Sassos and the, you know, throughout the, you know, all over the picture of college wrestling. You know, how are we going to beat these guys, or how can we get a takedown? How we can ride this guy out to win the tiebreaker? But man, I love being out on the road. I love sitting in living rooms. I love sitting, you know, you can go to all these tournaments and that's great, and you're watching great high school wrestling, but just to have those conversations on the side with parents, or see a kid's eyes light up when they see you on the corner of the mat watching their, you know, their big match. You know, that's just something that I take pride in, and Coach Roby uses me. You know, I'm the, you know, I would say that I'm the head recruiter, and we have the same like-minded.
Dog, huh?
Yeah, and I enjoy it, man. I'll get on the road. You know, him and I'll do the same, because he did the same thing for a decade under Dresser, and, you know, split second, man, I'm looking up a flight. If it's, you know, over 7 hours, if it's under 7 hours, man, I'm getting in the rental car and heading wherever. So I love it. I take great pride in it, and you know, building this program is what it's all about, and getting the right guys, the right fits is awesome. And really, I didn't know much about Virginia Tech, but the more I know now, just how close unbelievable wrestling is. You know, it stinks we're not in Nevada touching California, but our footprint as far as the New Jersey, you know, the Pennsylvania, the Ohio, and then all of the South is pretty unique. And I can get to just about anywhere where there's monster college wrestling or high school wrestling going on within 6 hours. So that's great. That's great and unique as well.
How might a high school kid who's, you know, working his way and looking to wrestle in college get on your radar, who may be on the West Coast and may not be in your general geographic targets?
And yeah, that is, I mean, it's hard. You got to be able to, you know, if you're not wrestling the Fargos or the Super 32s or the, you know, the Ironmans or, you know, this Elite 8 duels is becoming bigger and bigger each year. There's got to be something where, I'm a big social media guy. I don't post a lot, but I follow it pretty strongly. And, a guy shoots me a DM and you start that conversation. I'm going to start watching. The emails are here and there. I think that used to be the big way to get on guys' radars, but popping into my DMs is it's pretty wild. You can jump on, then you can go follow that kid, see what he's done in the past, what he talks about, what he, who he's, what kind of kid he is, and then bam, it can happen real quick. So I'd imagine that's probably the best way to get on my, if you're a West guy that we haven't already chit-chatted in the past, that's probably the easiest way for me to get in contact with guys, or vice versa.
So now, okay, you are opening up Pandora's box here. And I don't mean that in terms of like you're going to get 1,000 DMs, but I am saying that some of these kids might DM you or another major institution's coach and get a hold of you, and now all of a sudden you follow them, but some of those kids might not want that all the time. So is there anything that you look for on social that kind of is either a big red flag on a kid, or is something that you look for that is like, oh, this kid is for real? Maybe he deserves another look.
Usually they're not reaching out if they know they got something to hide, I guess. But yeah, man, I do my due diligence. I'm gonna, talk to their high school coach, and usually there's some, this wrestling world is a lot smaller than the Kevin Bacon world, but so I can figure out real quick what, how to get some backstory on the kid, and then go back. It's you guys know how easy it is to resource stuff and find matches, and there's not a whole lot that these kids are going to be posting on their social media. They're pretty savvy these days, and if they really want to be wrestle the next level, and they're contacting me, out of the blue, they should have their stuff buttoned up. If not, it's a pretty easy conversation.
What about red flags that you see on the recruiting trail? One of the things that we talked about with Chewy was, he said when a parent answers the questions for the kid, when the kid doesn't speak, that's a major red flag. Are there any other ones that you can think of that like they kind of prick your ears up and like, oh, that's not good?
Yeah, especially early on, it's hard to, these kids are pretty, like I said, they're on these dang devices constantly. So, you have to pull them out of their shell. It's going to take 2 or 3 meetings. So you do see that. You do see kind of the parents taking over the conversation a little bit, and that, we want to hear from the kid. But I get it. And yeah, on the competition side, the semi slide always hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
Or they're just not, they're not really given to, and you're going to lose your matches on the backside. I've done my share of, being frustrated that I didn't get to the, but, for the longest time, Virginia Tech was built on third place guys that wrestled their butt off in the consolation rounds and figured out how to get to the consolation final and win that match. And that's, that tells you a whole heck of a lot about a kid. If they're willing to grind it out and come to the backside. So yeah, man, that's kind of a big thing for us when we'll always go to the consolation rounds and see who took third. I think that goes a long way for us, and you show that they have a love for the game and they're competitive, and they couldn't get it done in the semis or the quarters or whatnot. So that's a big selling point for us, watching these kids go out and scrap on the backside.
A couple of, so there's like a couple different ways that I want to go, and since we're still talking about coaching, we'll go with that first. You talk about getting a trophy, right? And like that's something that Virginia Tech has had in the past, but it hasn't been on the top of the podium yet. What has to happen? You've seen it, like what it takes. What has to happen? Because fourth and first it's a jump. It's a jump, man. What has to be going right for a team like Virginia Tech to take a step from fourth to first?
Well, I mean, we got to be incredibly lucky. I mean, it's better to be lucky than good some days, and that goes a long ways. A lot of things need to happen, and this is one of those years that obviously the Nittany Lions got a pretty loaded lineup, and they're gonna be tough to beat. But there's a lot of components going on, right? It's an Olympic year. Who's taking Olympic red shirts? Who's not going to be there? We got 5 guys that are ranked in the top 5 in the country. So you go in with that kind of talent, 5 returning All-Americans. Things go right, and they end up in the finals in the NCAA tournament. You got 4 or 5 guys in the finals. Then now you're looking at right now. You're talking. Now you're in the conversation. Mm-hmm. So I like our guys. I like what we got. You need 5 guys aren't going to do it. You need some help from those other 5 weight classes, which we do. We have a solid lineup. Only 1 weight class we don't have a returning guy coming back at. So we need to score points in those. Those guys got to make it to the placing round. So yeah, it's gonna be. This is a year that we have invested a lot into and are excited about, and it's still a young team. We'll have 2 graduating seniors, and we like our freshman class coming in. That's gonna backfill some of those positions. The Sonny Sassos and the Jimmy Mullins and Rafael. This Hippolito kid is something special. So
Hippolito, yeah, he's tough.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a lot of luck. Just like there's some kids that have won the NCAA tournament that wouldn't have placed the next year, the year prior. So it takes some luck. It takes some attrition, and we gotta just concentrate on ourselves and let the ball lie where it may.
As an athlete, you were more of a highlight reel type of wrestler at times. You also have athletes like that on your team right now. It's funny. Virginia Tech, for me, while Dresser was there, it was a little bit more of a predictable product. Now that Roby's taken over and you guys have, it seems to me, and again, this is outsider looking in, it seems to me that there's less of a very, you can't put a Virginia Tech athlete in a box anymore.
Right.
Okay. Because Mekhi Lewis wrestles extremely differently than Bryce Andonian. And I don't know that they could be more polar opposites in terms of wrestling style. Do you gravitate, as a coach, towards athletes that have a similar mindset, skill set, and wrestling style that you did? Or do you gravitate towards just a chunk of like, okay, I'm the middleweight guy or I'm the lightweight guy or whatever?
Those guys definitely perk my ears up a little bit more. The guys that fall into situations where there's a bunch of points that could come in an instant. But also, my guys are the guys that are going to go out and I think Roby's as well. Who's going to score the next point? I want to keep scoring. I want to score the next one. And like you said, Mekhi Lewis and Bryce Andonian are as freak of athlete as you can get, both of them. And they wrestle completely different. And then you got, Bryce Andonian and Caleb Henson, completely different, but they're always looking to score the next point, in different ways. So, they're both, a guy like Bryce and Caleb, who I, work with on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. They, they're always looking to score, and a lot of times they get scored on because they're looking to score. But they are students of the game. Their whole goal in life this next 256 days is to win an NCAA title. And those are the guys that I just gravitate towards. And we have as many of those guys on our team than we've ever had. So the culture is great. Things are only getting better. We're coming off of we took about 2 weeks off after a 5-week training cycle, and these guys are just kind of getting back on campus. And we had probably 9 of the 10 starters in the room today, working out and fine tuning some skills. And When there's it's just open. Everybody's moving in, and they're just coming in on a common time, wanting to get better. So it's a pretty awesome situation, and man, I'm just I'm blessed to be a part of what's going on here.
I think this 3-point takedown thing, nobody knows yet, right? Like,
right.
Obviously we haven't seen it yet, right? So I'm gonna reserve judgment. Okay. That said, though, a lot of people have said that it is the thought process behind it is to encourage off wrestling. But you get a guy like Andonian, okay, and you get him to go, 2 unders or 2 overs, and he goes for 3 on a takedown, for 4 on near fall points. 7 points is a lot of points to put up on one technique, which he has all the capability of doing. So I think about that in my head, and I think that was the initial thought, okay, for the 3-point takedown. Now, that said, let's talk about a guy like Mekhi Lewis, who, if you get his leg in the air, congratulations, you have done absolutely nothing. You've you've got 1/10 of a takedown. Congratulations. So a guy like that, who can Houdini his way out of situations and then sometimes sneak a 3-pointer and then brick it up. You can't score on Mekhi Lewis with a leg.
Right.
It's impossible. I almost think that it's going to help defensive wrestling a lot more than people are talking about. Is this something that you and the staff have kind of mulled over in the office at all?
Definitely. It's and like you said, we don't know till we know.
Right.
I think, as long as our mindset of our guys don't change, we've been typically a team that gets the takedown. If it's going to come down to a ride out or, overtime, something or other, riding time, our track record isn't near as good as going out and getting a takedown. So I think that's why we have the most success at NCAA tournament, right? We gauge everything on that third weekend in March. And so our goal is to get takedowns. And if we don't win that dual meet because we didn't get a takedown, well, we're going back to the drawing board and figuring out how we're going to score points, ride outs and how we're going to win on riding time. And that's not what we're about. We're about going out and getting to the legs, getting a takedown. Obviously it's gonna change some things. 3-1 is a lot different than 2-1. And you have two stalling calls to give, and you're still safe. So you can see it go both ways. You can also see some pretty fast tech falls.
Yeah, first period techs are going to go up for sure. Yeah, with a 3-minute first period, and you got to go feet to back twice and then get a take.
Yep.
That's very doable.
It's very doable, no doubt. And I think, for a guy like Bryce, who's, he's keen to giving up a lot. He'll go get a lot of takedowns and quickly, but he's also, he goes so hard that a lot of times he gives a lot of reversals. So he's going to have a lot of quick 4-2s where he gets the takedown, he gets reversed, which the whole reversal is less than a takedown. That's going to throw us off for a little bit too, man. You think you're tied up, but you're actually losing by 1, and you get the escape. Now you're down by 2. So it's going to be a fun, it's going to be tough to say 3 instead of 2, but yeah, man, I'm
a real thing too. Like my wife does not understand that. Be like, she's like, so what? Everyone just has to yell 3 now. I'm like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. It's just. It feels weird. I don't know.
It does. It feels weird. We did some simulation matches at the end of our training cycle, and the whole time I'm yelling 2 or giving 2. I'm the referee, and like, Frayer, it's 3. I was like, I'm sorry.
Whatever.
Yes, whatever. You know what I meant.
Okay. You talked about the third weekend in March. Let's talk about the first weekend in March, because the ACC has. I don't even want to say low key. It is basically kind of cemented itself as the second best conference in the country.
No doubt.
And it like, yes, Virginia Tech, yes, NC State, for sure. Those programs have kind of cemented themselves as perennials. But now you got to deal with Pitt. I mean, Coleman did a great job, as we talked about earlier. Did a great job at UNC. Like, all of a sudden, like, I got to worry about Pitt now again, too. Jeez Louise. Tell me what it's like seeing – now, you've been there for, what, 9 years? Is that what you said?
Going on my seventh.
Sorry.
Seventh, yep.
So 7 years. In about that time, you've seen a major uptick in the ACC. Talk to me about what it's like when you started at Virginia Tech compared to what it's like now at the ACC.
No doubt, man. This is it's an unbelievable conference. It's fun to, tell recruits, sit in parent or, living rooms and let them know that, some of the statistics that are coming out of this conference. It's pretty surreal. And, to see, obviously at UNC, they're sneaking up on, they're 2 and 3 All-Americans each year and putting guys in NCAA finals, winning NCAA titles. Pitt having Bonacorsi and, the whole crew that's up there. Just doing an awesome job and the obvious NC State, Pat Pop does a phenomenal job there and there with Coach Hall and, they're going to always be chopping at our heels and vice versa for us. So, yeah, man, it's been fun. And, in UVA, will have a couple of sneaky guys at the end that, all the way around. We're just, Duke's going to have their guys at the end as well. So, it's an awesome situation. I wish the 6 would go to 8 or 10 at some point, but and you never know about that with this whole realignment stuff. It could change tomorrow. But right now, the 6 schools are awesome. We make each other better. That January, February, we're wrestling every Friday night. It's pretty special. It's pretty awesome. It was something to look forward to, especially in COVID when we were the only thing going on Friday nights and. I think it was special for the community and brought more fans. We're averaging a little over 4,500 a duel. Had 6,500 for the NC State match, and we hope to pack the place for Ohio State at home next year. So, yeah, man, just a great group of coaches and athletes and just this area. You're an East Coast guy. That the high school wrestling is superb and super concentrated out here. So just fired up to keep those guys here, understanding that, man, you don't have to go to a Big Ten program to have an awesome match every single weekend. I mean, I think there was a couple weights that were, there was 3 or 4 guys that ended up being All-Americans at the same weight. So yeah, excited for the ACC, pumped for Coleman to go back out to Stillwater, but yeah, Ramos this year is going to do an awesome job, and all across the board within we're within 4 hours of every school, and awesome wrestling in the conference.
One of the things you kind of talked about, or we were just talking about, was the different types of wrestlers that you have on your team. And now it seems like with technology and everything that training has become so much more personalized to the athlete, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys balance practice and skill development with so many different types of wrestlers?
Yeah, awesome question, Joel. The way we kind of go about it is, our practices, we'll practice as a team together 4, sometimes 5 times a week. And those 4 or 5 times are, fairly cookie cutter. Right. It's the same practice across the board. Sometimes we'll split practice, but pretty much have the same practice, doing the same drill sets, the same technical areas, and the same live wrestling and conditioning type stuff. 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have kind of our individual workouts. So we're whatever guy is closely related to whether it's a weight class, similar wrestling style, or just, there's a position that Roby wants to really work with Bryce. Like this morning, there was something they wanted to go over. So they spent, 45 minutes to an hour going over that position. So those Tuesdays and Thursdays are typically the days that we really, break down. We watch film together, kind of do more of a specific practice for those guys. And a lot of times we'll match 2 guys up and kind of go over those same positions. So it allows us to kind of build on top of what we're doing in the cookie cutter type practices, but also just kind of enhance, get these guys prepared for whoever's coming up, or just, get these guys better on an individual basis.
Interesting, because, a lot of coaches now are in charge of skill development for athletes that are pretty skillful, right? How much of your day, how much of your week is building skills in your athletes, or as opposed to just getting better at one area in terms of like, okay, we got Bonacorsi coming up next week. He's a son of a gun on top. Like, we got to deal with that. But how much of your day or week is kind of built towards all around skill development as opposed to focalized?
Yeah, no, I think, that's the great thing about A, the continuity of the staff, and B, the individual workouts, where we know we have our, I have my 4 or 5 guys, 3 or 4 guys, Hot has 3 or 4, typically the bigger guys, where he can focus on those matches coming up, or what he's seen in the practices. All our practices are videoed, so all our guys can go back and watch the practice. Coaches can go back, figure out, hey, say go to hour 1:15, 30-second, you got smoked on this takedown. Let's work on that position. So I think that's typically the skill development, and we're focused on those 3 or 4 guys that are, especially during the season, where we can really, everything is focused and concentrate on how they're going to get better. And a lot of times, right, it's at this level with some of the, the high level guys, it's, it's conditioning, it's weight maintenance, it's, some of the, the mental toughness. And a lot of times it's the recovery, right? I mean, we have guys that in the past would just kill themselves overtraining, and it would hurt them in the process. It may not hurt them in February, but come March it's going to. So, making them take the afternoon off, making them get in the cold tub for, some contrast back and forth in sauna, cold tub, or, whatever the case may be, get them to yoga. So a lot of it is, gaining that trust with our athletes, having that loyalty back and forth, and allowing them to, for us to just focus on each and every individual and what their needs are. So pretty cool. We just got, from the UFC, we got Clint Wattenberg, 2-time All-American for Cornell. Dude was 2-time U.S. national team member, was just the head of nutrition and diet for the UFC. Just took over the head nutrition and diet for our athletic department. So brand new hire, been here like 2 weeks. It's going to be a game changer for the whole department, but especially for wrestling. He's probably the best in the world at combat sports and getting guys ready to go. The whole system of not only the diet part, the nutrition, the supplements, all that good stuff, but also, the guys, oxygen levels and the whole 9 yards, stuff that is, you can't even measure. And it's going to just take us, for the guys that are going to buy into it, are going to take us to another level. So we're fired up about the hire. He's just been on campus the first, 2 weeks now. And just going to be another big niche in our resource tool bag.
Dude, that when you talk about the arms race, right? Like a guys talk about the arms race when it comes to like, okay, we have this many guys in the RTC, we have this type of facility, we have this locker room. I think that's next, man. I really do. I think that is next. You see Penn State working with the training lab, and you see like this, like you have to have your nutrition dialed in. And It's not, when we say nutrition, I shouldn't even say it's just nutrition, because it has the food intake is just 30% of it, right? Like you're talking about the rehab and the prehab and the recovery. Man, oh man, these guys have this down to a science. And thank goodness that there are institutions like Virginia Tech that have enough money that can support and utilize it for the sport of wrestling. It's a luxury that we are now finding far more common. And that's really, really cool to me. But
No
your
doubt.
person is like that, Jared Frayer. Something tells me back when you were in a different set of colors, maybe.
No, yeah, we're crushing iced oatmeal cookies. That was our power bars. That was my coach used to call it the poor man power bar. And yeah, man, it was.
But so wait, how honestly, if I would have told you in 2012, which by the way, are you the last guy to make a team while having a coaching job?
I'd have to go back and look, but
I've gone back and I'm just saying I'm a nerd, and I'm pretty sure you're the last guy to actually have a full-time coaching
I think so.
job.
I think so, man. That it's this RTC gig is pretty sweet, and I don't know how much.
Could have used that back in the day.
And I don't know how I saved up a bunch of money to go to the training center for 2 years. And, so, I actually wrestled better when I had a job. So I don't know if the RTC gig would have been, that much helpful to me, but yeah, man, it's pretty cool for these guys. And, the bad part about it is with this NIL stuff, it's probably going to go away real quick, because there's only so much wrestling money out there that can, go to these institutions, which is sad.
It's something. I don't. Again, I actually with the NIL stuff, I'm not even going to touch it, because again, I want to have and not because like I'm like pro or I'm not for or against it. I'm just saying I want 10 years of data before I even make an opinion on this, like, because it's gonna change a lot, because what we didn't really draw into the equation was COVID and like a 6th year, and all these kids are graduating, and like they're graduating from school, but they still have eligibility. So that it's jumping the numbers up. Like,
it's definitely going to slow down. You're right.
It has to, right? Like it's just unsustainable at the place that it is right now. But since we're on the subject, gut feeling right now, is NIL good for wrestling or not?
It is good for the wrestlers.
That's not what I asked.
Is it good for wrestling? Man, it's not good. I mean, in my honest opinion, day or year 3 of the NIL, and our model of success in the last, whenever Zeke got this going, it's gonna bleed schools dry, and and that it's gonna be difficult to have pay guys to train at the next level for goals and dreams they've had forever. And our job is to put guys on the podium and win NCAA team trophies. As much as I love international wrestling and I want my guys to succeed at the next level, I gotta make sure our guys are taken care of, so they're not getting poached to go somewhere else. So that's our main goal, is make sure our guys are happy here, and I know that they are, but just to take care of them the way they should be taken care of through this NIL era of college athletics.
It's a minefield.
Yeah.
I do not. I talked about this with Joel. I don't envy any of you. Like, it's tough, man. It's because you have to go to so 20 years ago, you went to a donor and asked for money for the program. 10 years ago, you went to a donor again, second time during the year, and asked for money for the RTC. Well, now you got to go back to them every 4 months and say, I need more money for this. And that's taxing on a relationship that you have with a donor. And like you said, the resources are simply finite. There's not an infinite amount of money in this sport. So in your estimation, you think that the RTC, because it doesn't directly affect the college team, you think that'll be the first thing to go?
For mid-level and lower level schools like ourselves, yeah. As far as going out and 3 years ago we had James Green, we had Ty Walls, we had Tyler Graff. We're paying them all a salary to make those world teams and win U.S. Open titles. And now it's a lot of that, a vast majority of that money is that our donors are taking care of our guys that are on the squad and having NIL opportunities. So it's a fine line, and we're all about making sure our guys now are going to stay here. The guys that Makai Lewis and Bryce Andonian that have already had great success on the international level. To make sure they're taken care of by our RTC once they leave here. So I think that it's going to go more to the guys that are coming through the program and giving them an opportunity post grad. I think that's how it was intentionally meant to do in the first place. But for our guys to train with James Green for 2 years, forget about it, man. It was an unbelievable opportunity. He's an amazing technician in the room, amazing guy for our guys to kind of be mentored by, amazing husband, the whole 9 yards. And now he's Cornhusker officially. So yeah, but that's the type of guys that we were excited to slide into their DMs and say, hey man, would you think about coming to Blacksburg and checking us out to train our RTC? That's the exciting thing about an RTC, and having that that amount of money to try and find guys that want to train with you guys and be coached by us. And so that's we kind of lose that excitement, but man, I'm fired up for these guys that can win some NCAA titles, and then let's go find some world titles.
Have you guys had to re-recruit any of the athletes that are already on your team?
No. I mean, I imagine it'll come at some point. But for a little bit, that I think Makai was kind of trying to figure out if he wanted to come back for his last year. So recruiting him, and that not that it didn't take a whole lot, but not that he was going to leave or go anywhere else. It was more just moving on to the workforce. But yeah, man, it's been, like I said, we have an amazing trust in between coach and athlete here at the moment, and I think we're bringing in the right guys culture wise. So yeah, no, we haven't, knock on wood, or there hasn't been anybody that's come in and tried to steal any of our guys. But I know it's happening, and eventually I'm sure it will, because we're not, like I said, we're not in the Big Ten, we're not Penn State, Iowa, some of the bigger franchises around. But man, we're chomping at their heels trying to get to that point.
I think you say you're not in the Big Ten, and there's 3 or 4 brands out there, right? There's Iowa, there's Oklahoma State, there's Penn State, and Minnesota to a smaller degree, but Virginia Tech is knocking on that door to kind of kick in the door for the ACC. I think is that something that you guys, Roby and staff, have kind of thought about, have put any, because he's not like, Roby's not like a branding kind of guy. Like, I mean, maybe Dresser was a little bit more, but Roby's not like let's get this on social right away.
Right.
It's not
he wish we didn't have any socials. Trust
right.
me. But
yeah.
It's
but you do a good job. Like so the school, and more specifically the wrestling program, you do a very good job of branding Hokie wrestling.
Right. And it's something that, he knows is needed. He knows, as much you don't like what's going on, you got to change with the times, and be better than most, just because, to get ourselves in that conversation with those top tier teams, you have to be in that conversation on every aspect, not just the wrestling part of it. So, we take great pride. Ethan Agigi does a great job on our social media platform. And, we're always up there, and, whatever the algorithm is there. So yeah, man, we're excited to be in a conversation with the Cornells and the right there, nipping on the, and as long as we can get there on the wrestling mat, we don't really care, what conversation we're in. So, just excited to continue to build this culture and sell this culture to these, someday we're going to start getting these blue chippers and we got to continue to develop those guys. So we are, top 4 and getting close to that, being on top of that podium on Saturday night.
All right. What do you got, Joel? We're going to bring it home here with the magic wand question soon.
I was, as somebody who is into branding, like, is there anything you guys are actively doing to think about how do you get in the conversation with, Penn State, Iowa?
Yeah, no, I think we're doing a great job. I think, this is home is kind of the brand for the athletic department. And, we're going to be in the conversation with every single recruit if we can get them on campus. This is a special place. It's small, but it's vibrant and active and exciting. And like I said, the fans are rabid. So, and we have the resources to win. And obviously pushing Mackay through to the national title in 2019. Gosh, it's been too long. But
no, it was might as well be a millennia ago.
Right. So much has gone in between here and now. But yeah, man, just to see that it's been done, and we got a bunch of guys, like I said, that are chomping at the bit. That 2024 is going to be a big year for us. So yeah, man, I think that was kind of the big push that we didn't have one NCAA title in the sport of wrestling until Mackay did it. And now it's time to get the second and third and get some guys with multiples. So it's exciting, man. And like I said, this is home is our motto. And once we can get them on campus, because we push hard for those official visits, and then we tend to have a really good track record once we get them on campus. So it's an exciting time right now, getting to know these kids, these 2025 classes, and we got some fun ones on the line, and hopefully we can get them on campus and show them what this is all about.
All right, Jared Frayer. Last question.
Let's go.
You ready?
Probably
If
not.
you had a magic wand,
Mhm.
and you could change one thing about wrestling, what would it be?
Gosh, it's a good question. It's a good question. Man, I've been watching a lot of wrestling, so and I don't, everyone wants the topic of one form of wrestling, and I just don't think that's the answer. I love college wrestling. I love the way the rules are. But I grew up on freestyle wrestling, so I love freestyle wrestling, and I knew I'd always, my Olympic aspirations came before any wrestling in college, because there was no college wrestling in Florida. So there you go. There's what I want. I want big time college wrestling in the SEC. I want the state of Texas to get a big old college wrestling institution. So there you go. I want the state of Florida or the SEC. Just get Alabama, get Florida State. Let's.
No, I love that. I love that.
I mean, I want to coach. My goal, and when I went to University of Oklahoma, which OU Texas is like the biggest game, the biggest rivalry in college football for me, and but man, my whole goal is to start a program at the University of Texas. And that would be pretty awesome. That would be like the tip of the iceberg. That'd be pretty cool.
That dude, UT needs a team in a big bad way. Because nothing for nothing, people don't realize. Like, first of all, wrestling in the state of Texas is brand spanking new. They didn't have high school wrestling until I think it was 2000 or 2001, right?
Yeah.
So, like what you're talking about, and like people are like, oh well, they should just be good. No, hold tight. Like out east, everybody's grandfather wrestled and their father wrestled, and you just do, because that's the way it works. That didn't occur in Texas. Everyone in Oklahoma, if you said to them, did your dad wrestle? Yes. Did your uncles wrestle? Yes, of course. But that didn't happen in Texas. That's starting to happen. That's, it's going to take 2 generations for this to really catch on, and for the UT admin to go, all right, well now we kind of gotta,
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
And we'll
And
just guilt them into it.
it's such a big legacy state too, right? I mean, these kids they're $120 and they're thinking they're going to, play for the Horned Frogs on a Saturday night. You're like, dude, what are you doing? You're a wrestler. Why are you playing? Well, my dad played football. My grandfather played football at TCU or whatever. It's man, it's exciting. I have family down there in Dallas now, so we're there quite a bit. And, I spent a lot of time down there, obviously, with being in Oklahoma. So, yeah, man, it'd be pretty cool to see, one of these major institutions just say, all right, it's time. And, not too far long ago, this place was, about ready to drop. And it just took one guy to say, hey, man, we can win some conference tournaments or titles in wrestling if we just put some money into it. And guess what happened? It turned into, let's hire a young high school coach named Kevin Dresser.
I'm a high school coach. Let's hire. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. All right, and he did it. He made it work.
Yep.
God bless him.
Yep.
And Roby too, because Roby had to buy in to what Dresser was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was a head coach and took the assistant job here.
Yeah. So. He had to buy in a big way. Like that's. It's you guys are doing a good job in Blacksburg, and it's appreciated all the way across the country. And how can people, if they need to get a hold of you on social, they want to DM you and tell you about their third place finish at the Afton Quadrangular?
I can't wait. I can't wait. Bring it on. Let's do this.
All right.
Well, yeah, man, we appreciate you guys and all you do. And man, I need to get out to the Poway and come check out some wrestling.
You tell me when, and you're more
all right,
here, brother.
All right.
Joel Straw, anything else before we go?
That's gonna do it. Thanks so much for coming on, Jared.
Yeah, man. Thanks for doing this, guys.
All right, appreciate you, Jared. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
All right, buddy. Thanks.